Hello everyone and welcome to another toy making video. Today I'm going to be making a poseable toy out of silicone. The mold here has two colors because I was trying to use up my old mold making rubber before opening a new one. The video is flipped here, but I am using Moldstar 20T. It's the same as Moldstar 16 Fast, a platinum silicone with a 1:1 mix ratio and a 30-minute cure time. I already made a mold of my clay sculpture, so now I'll be cutting it open with an X-Acto knife. Carefully cutting the mold open and making short jagged cuts so the mold halves can lock together again like puzzle pieces. This process takes a while and you want to take your time with this, being careful not to risk injury and also cutting the mold so that the cut line is split evenly down the middle of the clay figure. It's a bit hard to see what I'm doing here, but I'm slowly prying the halves of the mold away while making short jagged cuts with the hobby knife. You want to take your time with this and do it as slowly and carefully as you can. When cutting between the figure's legs, I usually just break off the other leg so I can make a clean cut through the center to reach the second leg. Short, jagged cuts help keep the mold halves neatly fitted together. Now that the figure is almost free, at this point I pull it slowly out of the mold and continue to cut all the way through. It's tempting to leave it as it is, giving it a hinge on one side, but for adding a wire inside the mold it is not ideal. Now to cut through, but to make another zigzag shape so that it locks together on all sides of the mold. Now, laying the pieces down, I carefully clean off any debris, picking off any clay pieces that are still stuck inside the mold. If a piece is stuck in really good, I would use a blunt clay tool to scoop it out to avoid scratching or cutting the surface of the mold. The next step is putting mold release, but be sure to wear gloves, a mask, and work in a well-ventilated area. I will be using Man's Ease Release 205, which is made for silicone molds and casting silicone into silicone. This prevents them from permanently sticking together. Be sure to use this with caution. I pour a little bit into the cap and I take a wide brush and brush it all over the mold. You want to get it all into the tight spaces and all over the mold, including the sides and edges of the mold, because excess silicone can leak out and you don't want a solid block of silicone you can't pry open. After applying the mold release to both halves, I leave this to dry for 30 minutes. Once dried, I get my casting silicone. I am using EcoFlex 00-10, which is really soft and squishy type of silicone. Its hardness can be compared to like marshmallows. For pigment, I'll be using smooth-on silicone pigment to color it. EcoFlex 00-10 has a cure time about 4 hours. Long cure time is better regardless if you are pressure casting or not, since it gives it more time for trapped air bubbles to escape. Now I am carefully pouring a thin layer on each half of the mold. Don't fill the mold all the way or you can't fit the wire skeleton inside and be able to close the mold at the same time. This process can take a while since you may not coat the whole thing the first time around. Note that I am only coating the main body and avoiding the vents I made with the clay. Since you want those clear, this will be important when you join the halves and have to pour more silicone into the holes the vents created later.